articulate it, but I left the theater feeling kind of underwhelmed because Marcus as a villain is not good. Nothing against Tony Curran. He's a nothing villain. There's no personality here. And he types very slowly. Then you have Alexander. What's up?
No, I was just thinking, like, this might be one of the few times that we are on different pages, because I like Marcus as a villain.
Oh, really?
I like the idea of this dude who has a psychic bond with his brother, and he's trying to save him. And I like Tony. Like, I was like, that's one of the parts I really enjoyed.
I mean, the makeup looks beautiful. They spent 7 hours doing the guy up. Oh. Wonderful makeup. Wonderful practical makeup. He's also in Blade 2, which I love.
He's Rodney Skinner.
Yeah.
Basically, this is a Tony podcast. Tony Curran podcast.
And Van Gogh.
Yep.
And Doctor Who. I love that episode. Oh, yeah. He's been in 3 of ours. Yeah.
And you've done 13th Warrior, too, I think.
Yep. Oh, man, I love that movie.
Yeah, that's so he's basically an all-star for you.
So I don't want... It's nothing against his performance. It's just he comes out of... When we first meet him, he just murders Craven. He's like, you're a dirtbag. And then he goes somewhere else, does some other work, murders some people. Then he has a couple dialogue scenes, and he talks to his dad, kills his dad. Like, gods don't have dads. But he wants to get William out. I get it. It's his brother. But William... I mean, who knows about... Like, the Victors were the vampires, and Victor was the Victor. But what's your vector, Victor? But he wants to raise his brother William, who's probably psychotic after such a long imprisonment, and he's just going to go turn people into zombie-esque werewolves and destroy the world because it's not... Like, Corvinus says that it's the human's world. It's man's world. We are abominations. He's like, nah. Like, we're the kings. We should do this. I just think he's underwritten. I never care. Like, so I'm talking about in 2004. I just kind of thought, who is this guy? And then it just kept... It's weird. This is a movie that has, like, forward momentum, stop. And that's what most movies have, but it's such... The pacing, I think, threw me off of it. I mean, I still bought the DVD when it came out, for sure. And I have the 5-pack now on Blu-ray. So it's not like I disliked it. But I just thought the original... And even though people called the original very derivative, which, I mean, the movies, they say it's derivative, but it's... I guess I liked the world building of the first. I loved the presence of Bill Nighy. I guess I liked the grunginess of it. So yeah, that's my experience with it. But watching it again, I have a whole new appreciation of Celine. So I'm like 100% on board with Celine.
Yeah, I think I do agree with you on the whole I need to take over the world thing. That didn't sit too well, but the idea of Marcus trying to save his brother, I thought was noble, which ended up with creating this like interesting dichotomy. Maybe if he wasn't so violent, it would have worked a little bit better, because then at the end you have two people you kind of quasi understand fighting on the helicopter. That would have been a better climax. Mm-hmm. But it's still like, I still like it. I really like the makeup and how he looked. I'm still not sold on why you needed a hybrid vampire. Like this film does feel a little overstuffed with like cool ideas and world building, and they're like, there's a third immortal and there's a vampire hybrid forward. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like maybe too much is happening all at once. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so after this, I like this movie, but in terms of our series, I have not seen any of the other ones.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I have no idea what I'm in for. This is a movie where I stopped. I know that The Rise of the Lycans, when that came out, I was like, I don't want to see this. I want to see Celine. Screw it. And so I didn't go watch it. And then I never got back into it. So going forward, it's going to be all fresh for me.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Yeah, I'm doing some research, and I kind of had to breeze through them again. And I really enjoyed them. I remember 4 feeling like a fever dream, and I know I say that word a lot, but I was like, what is happening? And then 5 is bonkers. But then I kind of watched them again, and I just appreciate what they're going for. And this is such a rare franchise where the third film stars Bill Nighy, Michael Sheen, and Rona Mitra. And it got a big budget release. It's a very odd... I love it. It's an outlier in this world of superhero films and blockbusters and all of that. It could thrive for 5 movies. And I find it really endearing that it kept plugging along. And I guess one thing, though, we got to look at is this movie had a 17% tomato meter, but it had a 72% audience. So audiences connected with this movie. Mm-hmm. What is there to connect with?
I mean, it's just popcorn action.
Yeah.
Like, if this came out in the summer or if it came out around Halloween and I didn't want to think too hard, oh, this is perfect. Are you kidding me? Because like you said, it's just Celine fights a bunch of people. They say something. She fights another person. They say something. Like, you don't have to think too hard about it. In fact, I think this movie doesn't want you to think too hard about it.
Yeah, because then you start, you're thinking to yourself, Alexander Corvinus is the original immortal, and so he should be powerful. But in this one, he's kind of chump change. I do love his helicopter crew. Those guys that fly around. I like his tactical crew. I like that they're the cleanup group. It's like John Wick before John Wick. They go up cleaning everything up in this world. Whoa. Well, no dog death, so I guess I can't compare them directly together. But yeah,
well, wolf death.
Yeah, wolf death. Hey, oh. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess the villains for me felt a little flat, but also the scene where I do love where Marcus flips Speedman in the air and just impales him on a rod. It's a cool scene. And I guess you're right about Marcus is he gets that blood and then he immediately reads it. So he's immediately violent because he knows about Craven. He knows about this world. He knows about where he's at. So I guess that makes sense that he's so violent, but he never gets a Black Panther moment with Killmonger where, I mean, Killmonger's a Killmonger. He wants murder. Yeah. And he's murdered a lot, but you get, he's absolutely the villain of that film, but you understand his
motivation.
Yeah. Marcus's motivation. Marcus went to hunt William, and William spread almost a plague that made Bill Nighy wanted to stop a werewolf plague, and he did. But then they're acting like Bill Nighy was the bad guy for imprisoning that guy for life because he couldn't kill him. So Marcus knows that William is insane, and he couldn't control him before. So now why is he more powerful now that he's been in a coffin with M on it, by the way, which I love. The coffin has M on it. Beautiful prop design. But how is he more powerful? And how can he control William?
Yeah. So this isn't said in the movie. This is my headcanon. I interpreted that Marcus became a vampire after being bitten by a vampire, or by a bat. He became a vampire by being bit by a vampire. Anyway, a bat did it. And then when he was trying to stop his brother bit him, causing him to turn into a hybrid. And because he's a hybrid, he should be stronger than his brother.
Oh, because hybrids in this world are stronger than just one brids.
Yeah. So they never say that out loud. But if you pay attention to his character, like, he has extreme control over his transformation, more so than Michael. And that's what I interpreted. It's just like he's just much stronger because he's used his power more.
But he wants to take over the world.
That's the part that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, if he wants to, like imagine this storyline. Victor locks William away, and Marcus wants to save him because it's his brother and he loves him and he thinks his brother's insane and he doesn't care that his brother might go on a killing rampage. You don't need anything else. I feel like that in itself is a good story, but when you add on, like, I want to take over the world, that's when it gets really confusing.
Mm-hmm. Because if they just wanted to hang out, like, listen, let's just chill. Let's not. It speeds to. I wish there was a couple more scenes to explain Marcus's, make us care more about him. If that makes sense.
Because it felt like he was a noble character who at some point went nutty. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not entirely sure. There is a novelization that talks about this, and I started reading the Wikipedia entry and I stopped because I was like, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Oh, wow. I mean, listen, I love the story. The original Immortal has two Immortals. They're different, but they both go kind of wild. They turn Victor, this warlord army guy, into a vampire. He turns his army. He takes control. It's very interesting. I mean, this is neat world building that I appreciate, but I guess just in this movie, it's not bad. I mean, this is an action movie, David. Like, all this stuff that we're doing right now, it's pointless because this is just an action popcorn flick that does deliver the violence. I mean, listen, the final fight in the beautiful set, I love it. watching Celine fight those werewolves, going into the place, dealing with them, her fight with Marcus, where Marcus basically punks out because you realize how strong she is, which he lost me as a villain right there, because when she handled him and he looked freaked, and then their battle on the catwalk, she wipes his hand out, he stabs her, smart move, but then she just pulls it out and, like, wallops him, all the while, like, Michael rips William's head off. It's a beautiful practical effect makeup job, and it's thrilling. So even though I have a little bit of I don't really understand the villain's motivations, there's still werewolves, a hybrid werewolf ripping off another werewolf's head, and then two hybrid vampires now, or a super strong vampire, then a hybrid vampire, wiping each other's arms and stabbing each other and ripping stuff out and murdering. Like, it's pretty badass, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Ignore the plot.
Yeah.
Ignore the plot, ignore the sex scene.
I guess the one issue is that, man, that's a weird scene. But the one issue I have is they just keep stopping and adding plot onto it. And I know you have to do that, but there's just some expository dumps in this movie that do slow it down a little bit. So, yeah. But, because it could just be a chase movie. This could just be a neat chase picture where they're just running from Marcus, and then Marcus just keeps drinking the people's blood that they see. And they're like, thanks a lot, Celine. And then that leads to the father's place, and then to the final castle. But the fact that her parents built that beautiful castle, then they were killed to protect a location, but then she was turned so she knows where it is. That's a lot of plot.
Turned because Victor had a daughter that reminded him of her.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a lot. It's the structure of this plot is creaky, but it's holding up. It's like, really, like you said, I just want vampires fighting werewolves.
And it's the second film, but Kate Beckinsale absolutely grew into this role. Mm-hmm. She had Van Helsing under her belt. She had a little more action under her belt. I love her in the first one, but in this one, like, they had her posing a lot in the first one. This one, there's more physicality and fighting. I dig that about it. And when she looks awesome shooting the guns. She did a lot of the stunts. I was watching all the wire work where she just drops down, then immediately has to shoot guns. She actually was shooting that one gun with one arm. She, like, had great control. This is action hero Beckinsale at her best in here. Yeah. And it's pretty cool watching her grow into the role.
Yeah. I wonder why we don't really talk about Kate Beckinsale as an action hero, because she is. I mean, she's done a lot of a variety of movies, but when you say, like, female-centered action heroes, like Angelina Jolie and Mila Jovovich and Sigourney Weaver pop up, but, like, I don't think of Beckinsale, and I really should.
She's a boss in this movie. She's awesome. And I don't like it. I don't like that this movie that came out, sure, some people didn't like that it was derivative. It had the new metal, but it was early 2000s. Watch Daredevil again. Everything had new metal back then. Watch any movie around that time. They weren't super sophisticated yet. They were of their time. And people have the dogpiling on the Resident Evil, on the Underworld franchises, I think are really unjust. I don't know why people hate those movies. They're one of the few films that feature badass female leads wiping people out with somewhat interesting plots, cool practical effects. I think it's kind of a shame. I really do. And I think Patrick Tatopoulos, he's the production designer for Zack Snyder now. He's Zack Snyder's guy. He did Justice League. He did Batman v Superman. This guy and his monsters and the look, it's beautiful. It's annoying. I think it's a very pretentious. I don't want to call anybody pretentious, but I think the overall, and I don't want to say that people are out there following trends, like not thinking for themselves, but it just seems the wave of negativity is just carried through for these movies, and I don't like it.
Well, it's an easy thing to do. You don't have to do any research on your own and just like, oh, I have an opinion on something that maybe the society doesn't like.
Dogpile.
Yeah, you're right. Like they're not like amazing movies, but I basically enjoy them. I've seen all but the last Resident Evil, and I've liked them all.
They're cheap. They're like they're $20 million, $30 million, $40 million. They're not expensive. Like, they don't. Resident Evil movies, Final Chapter almost made as much as Rogue One in Japan of Resident Evil. People love the Resident Evil movies overseas. People adore them. And then these movies were big overseas. So I just don't get these are popcorn movies. these are not The Matrix. This is not Batman Begins. This is leather-clad